To be born on Pale is to be born to a world of glittering oceans, white deserts, and granite-spired monasteries, where fate would have you birthed not as orphans of war, not as foundlings raised in shadow, not as the desperate and broken needing to be made whole. But instead, it is a world where conception would have you blessed as one of the Emperor's chosen few, destined for a life as an icon, a living prayer, fated for a death in service to the Emperor. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my little corner, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Sisters of Battle native to my homebrew sector of EO, the Order of the Lilac Rose and their homeworld. Where to live is to understand the grace of the Lord of Mankind and his divine will. Few worlds have known peace quite like this, and even fewer of them still survive, but to know the brightness of the light is to see the depths of the darkness, for these are the children born in heaven and sent into hell, the sons, and more notably the daughters, of Pale. Orbiting a softly lit star within the northwest cosmopolis subsector of EO, Pale is a civilized shrine world not known for its strategic value or mineral wealth, but for its purity in landscape and in soul. It began in the early years of the EO expansion during M34, when ships were dispatched to chart nearby habitable systems. Among those found was Pale, a temperate, mineral-poor world with no real strategic or tactical value at the time. After logging the system's location, they would suffer some sort of malfunction aboard their ship and crash into the planet's surface, leaving no survivors. This would lead to speculation that the world was cursed, until decades later, when settlers, many of them newly devout Imperial pilgrims and administrators from Sindramundi, would seek to claim the world. After years of toil and hard labour, ill luck, leading them all to starvation, settlers would look to locate the crash site in order to rid the world of their curse. Doing so, they mourned the dead who had preceded them, and the first holy sites were erected to stave off any evils that may still linger. As the EO expanse picked up pace and more resources were poured into the sector, Pale became a way station for travellers heading to the nearby growing worlds of Holt and Castile. Pale transformed from a sleepy settlement into a holy site, first in memory of those initial homeworld explorers that helped the sector achieve so much so soon, then becoming a place where people would seek blessings, see the last glimpse of serenity, or just be close to the Emperor, and an entire priest class would begin to emerge. By M35, a mystical tale is said to have spread of a cleric named Lady Lagatha, who had fallen into a trance and seen a vision of the Emperor gifting her a rose with purple flames taken from the light of the stars and proclaiming Pale to be the gateway to harmony. Although she would not live to see it, this prophecy would come true some 150 years later, with what is believed to be the visible death of a star in the western fringes of the sector, creating the purple nebula known now as the Lilac Rose. Explorators investigating the occurrence and its effects would happen across two worlds of paradise. The first was Nero Tertius, named after the planet's discoverer despite much protest from those who drew connection to the cleric's tale, leaving the second to be named Harmony. Time would, however, prove this to be the correct decision. This vindication of prophecy would, however, turn Pale itself into a revered world and help the growing ecclesiarchy within the sector maintain a unified faith amongst its people. Beyond this, it gained support of the High Lords of Terror during the Nova Terra Interregnum and the fragmentation of the Imperium. It was then used in much propaganda within the sector and beyond, as the Ministorum were gifted stewardship of the planet as part of the sector's graciousness and declaration of loyalty to the throne by the sector of EO. It was soon declared a shrine world of reclamation, one of many meant to restore the people's faith in the ecclesiarchy. Under ecclesiarchal guidance, Pale's cities were reshaped into grand-spired monuments to the Emperor, and by M36, the founding of the Sisters of the Lilac Rose would cement Pale's legacy in ecclesiarchal records, embracing Pale's culture and recruiting directly from its people alone. Since then, Pale has become a cornerstone of spiritual life in the sector, its legacy carried forward in fire, ritual, and unshakable faith. On Pale, there is no distinction between the sacred and the mundane. Every action, from harvesting grain to drawing breath, is framed as an act of worship. There is no innovation, no deviation, only ritual, repetition, and faith. Children on Pale are not born by chance, they are born by design, in a deeply sacred rite known as the sanctified conception. Devout couples declare before the ecclesiarchy that they will create a child not for themselves, but for the Emperor. This act is the highest offering a family can make, greater than wealth, greater than service, greater even than martyrdom. The act itself is sanctified and observed in a ritual ceremony. Whilst many may attend and celebrate in such ways as a wedding, the point of intercourse is seen as more of a private affair and a sacred ritual, overseen by the clerical order of the womb for its purity and order. Upon birth, the child is given their name by their family, then they are taken by the ecclesiarchy and raised within sacred institutions. While this may appear to be a choice of free will by the people, it is a cultural expectation that families will do this. Some families dedicate their entire lives for this purpose alone. The fact that it also fulfills the tithe is simply a bonus. Children are raised under strict ministerial doctrine. They memorize hymns before they can read, they pray before meals and before sleep, and learn scripture by memory during those early years. If the child is male, he is raised in the cloisters of the Order Veritas, designed for service in the clerics militant of the Pale Flame, a religious force of warrior serfs and preachers. If the child is female, she is destined for something greater, the Sisters of the Lilac Rose. Chosen, consecrated, born for this purpose, they are spoken of not as soldiers, but as angels. Young boys begin their training on Pale in sacred combat abbeys and martial cloisters scattered across the deserts. There they learn not only to fight, but to kill in the Emperor's name, with scripture on their tongues and penance in their hearts. From there they are shipped off to Eterna Majoris, undergoing their final examination, competing in the Trials of Fire. However, once deployed on a true battlefield, they are rarely placed in the vanguard. Pale's cleric militant units are most often deployed in support of the Adepta Sororitas, acting as bodyguards, fire support, or even cleansing forces. Many others will return home joining the PDF or becoming missionaries or sanctifiers. Those who do not pass training will become scribes and priests or given some other task on their homeworld. Yet despite their toughness, skill, and zeal, it is not the clerics militant who bring the Pale its infamy, but the Adepta Sororitas, Sisters of the Order of the Lilac Rose. The Sisterhood maintains multiple convents across Pale, dedicated to 3 different major orders. Some are brought into the Order Hospitaller to tend to the wounded with the same reverence they show relics of saints. Others are taught languages, deception, and interrogation techniques in the Order Dialogus, whilst the majority will be taught how to bring the wrath and fury of the God Emperor down on their foes with sword, bolter, and flamers in the Order Militant. Either way, candidates are rigorously tested, spiritually, physically, and psychologically, in different forms depending on which major order they serve, but each will be taught not only to simply love the Emperor, but to belong to him. From virtually their first breath, they are taught that every waking moment is a lesson in obedience, reverence, and faith. However, it is at their final test that they must undergo the trial of first flame. Overseen by superiors in a vaulted chamber within their convent, they kneel, one in the centre of a circle of others. They paint a rose of flammable ores on the bare flesh of the first novitiate's back and set it on fire. The first initiate must endure the pain for 150 seconds, one for every year that the sector denied the wisdom of Lady Lagatha. This is not only done to cleanse past sins, but it is done to teach and to unify. The pain is a sacrament. To know the hurt is to sympathise with the pain of others. It acts as a constant reminder of the suffering that the sister will one day remove in other people and from the galaxy at large. Those who see or interact with them will know the pain that they have endured themselves and see how the Emperor has graced the sister still. During the test, the sister may not cry out as she is interrogated by the Dialogus before being healed by the Hospitaller. Then they move to the next. After one novitiate has been burned, the others must follow until all have passed. Through pain, they learn unity. Through unity, they become divine. The Sisters of the Lilac Rose serve across the entire sector and beyond, on the battlefield as well as guarding holy relics, sacred tombs, and the Emperor's most faithful. They wage war on heretics, destroy corruption, and save lives. Often paired with the clerics militant of the Pale Flame, they are famed for their unshakable calm in battle, seen walking into firestorms with hymns upon their lips and no cover in sight. Rarely marching in great armies, they are deployed in select kill teams and squads, formed at the trial of the first flame. Surgical, holy, and terrifyingly precise, with units often integrated to include Sisters of the Hospitaller and Dialogus together, giving them more tactical flexibility. However, they will also operate in support of other forces or even on their own if they need be. whilst it is the sisters who serve in the Order Militant that are most recognisable in their red and white armour, and all of them have their own unique rituals. The Order Hospitaller is the one that has gained the sisters the most fame. With scripture tattooed onto their lips, they sing the binding hymn as they perform their surgery. Harmonies that are said to heal the spirit and soothe wounds with their resonance, always chanted in High Gothic. Said to send people into a trance, patients often recall the sound more than the physical treatment of their wounds. Many describe it as feeling like they are having their soul rooted to the light of the Emperor. Patients are often then marked with the Mercy Bloom, a rose-shaped brand with the Imperial Quilla at its centre. This serves as a holy scar, both as a ward against chaos and as a testament, marking the bearer as one who has survived through sacred pain. A great honour for many, and a tale sure to impress. Then most famously, there is the Kiss of the Rose, said to be either a blessing or used to deliver the Emperor's peace, with a whispered scripture and a final kiss upon the brow, before the ashes of a sacred lilac rose are scattered upon the deceased. It is said to receive the Kiss of the Rose is to be gifted a destiny, or to receive one's fate. The most famous of these sisters is Saint Illyra Triumphant, founder, first canoness, and supreme matron general of the Order of the Lilac Rose. Later killed by heretics in M36, she is after whom all subsequent leaders have taken the title of Canoness Triumphant. Her ashes now bless the standard borne by all Lilac Rose squads. Arguably the second most famous sister of the sector is Saint Evelina of the Shore, a former Sister Dialogus turned canoness, whose final act was to walk into the flames of an orc attack on Bradshaw at Ember Hill, singing and fighting until her voice was lost and she was cut down by Gorgrim the Grinder in the final confrontation. Spurred on by her zeal, her sisters cut down the war boss and ended the orc attack that day. Some famous squads include the Thorns of Benediction, a squad of sisters who famously purged a traitor cardinal and his hidden cult during the revolution of Kira Was. Next is the Lantern Guard of Nero's Watch, who is stationed permanently on Nero Tertius, a planet-wide burial site plagued by growing psychic unrest. This unit of various squads has guarded its sanctified crypts for almost 4 millennia. Clad in armour adorned with bone charms, they conduct midnight rites to keep the dead from rising, and if they do, it is met with flame, hymn, and bolt. Not that that sort of thing ever happens, of course. Then there are the Dawn Petals, who after being detailed as a ceremonial escort, guarding multiple high ecclesiarchs on a pilgrimage to the sector, were ambushed by Xenos raiders. The sisters slaughtered their way to freedom without losing a single ecclesiarchal figure to the raiders. Then there are the Sisters of the Crimson Scent, a martyr squad who gave their lives defending the cradle of St. Marine in a nearby sister from a heretic raid. They gave their lives holding a monastery for 6 days straight, chanting the Canticle of the Burning Light, never breaking formation. Yet these are just a few of their accomplishments, as they have seen action across the galaxy in the War for the Black Shrine of M38, the Drakensang Crusade of M39, the Second War of Armageddon, and the later Black Crusades, where the Hospitallers of the Sisters of the Order of the Lilac Rose aided many others healing wounded soldiers amid relentless siege warfare, bringing glory to squads such as the Daughters of Euphrasia, the Kissed Ashes, and the First Bloom. Yet even on Pale, heresy may grow. Beneath the surface, cities, like old forgotten tunnels, and whispers speak of a sickness that drives the old mad with voices they claim are divine. Some say the Emperor is talking to them, like Lady Lagatha, with warnings of dark days drawing near. Others believe it is a dark voice, warp-tainted and filled with corruption. The ecclesiarchy obviously denies such rumours, but investigations apparently continue regardless. Pale is not a fortress, it is not a forge world, it is a shrine, a monastery. In its rituals, unshakable faith. In its sons, warriors of will. In its daughters, angels of fire. To some, Pale may seem like a haven, but when war comes, and it always comes, the enemies of the Emperor will find no sanctuary here. Well, that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed the lore. I hope it all made sense. Not sure I got how the different orders work, but I tried my best to make it unique and fun, and something that just fits with the 40k setting in general. I was trying to highlight the sort of angelic feel of these sisters. I hope you enjoy the minis too. I will one day get around to placing the Lilac Rose symbol actually on them, but my freehanding isn't that good yet, and I haven't invested in any like custom transfers or anything. But the colour scheme I think is really cool. The red armour with the white trim mirrored by the white robes and corset with the red trim, I just think it works really well. Like touch of pink on the tabard just adds a bit of femininity, but keeping it to a minimum really. I think it retains that regalness without having to become like too girly or anything. The red then fading into the black on the lower legs I feel just adds that bit of grit and makes them look badass. I will also say that it's nice to have different hair tones and stuff out rather than just painting all the hair white with regular Sisters of Battle. I really like the blonde on this one. I think it turned out really well. Most of the minis, as you can see, are basically just out of the box Sisters of Battle. This one was just using bits in a different way. Having one hand holding the bolter probably isn't the best idea, but hey, she's either solid as fuck or hasn't pulled the trigger yet. But I really like that sort of repelling the demon sort of with the icon. I think it looks really cool. This one is just using a normal bolter rather than a multi-weapon as the leader. I don't really like multi-weapons very much, even on Marines I think they look a bit goofy and big, but that's just me. Other than that, she's just like the generic leader figure out of the box. This one here uses a jetpack, which is off an old Metal Sister figure. I lost it ages ago, but I had the backpack still, so I thought I'd use it. The base is actually from a Vanguard Assault Marine squad as well. If you were to make this yourself, I think I just leaned the pose forward a bit, had the body sort of looking like it's running, give it a bit of dynamic swish with that sword, look like she's cutting somebody's head off or something like that. Yeah. And this sniper figure is just using an old Space Marine Scout sniper rifle. It's not a rifle you see very much of anymore, so I think it suits her, especially with the extra tabard flowing off the shoulder that I added. Can't remember where that actually comes from, but I found it on Bits Box. Just type in the word tabard or cloak or something like that, they will come up. Then going on to the two more unique ones, the Hospitaller and the Dialogus. I wanted to include them in the kill team mainly for their uniqueness and to make the sisters look a bit more dynamic, especially with the colours, like mirroring the other colours of the team. The Hospitaller, as you can see, is all white with red trim and red and pink cloak, which I think just adds some brightness to the squad and it looks cool. You instantly see her and think Apothecary, which was basically the idea. The bag is from an old Cadian Command squad, and the service skull is from the Tempested Scions. Then the Dialogus was basically my way of having like an assassin figure, basically. I know they're not really an assassin or anything like that, but as far as I'm aware, they're the closest thing to like Inquisitors that the sisters really have, like internally. So I wanted to represent that and add that sort of darkness to oppose the Hospitaller using the black as the main colour. I did try to use some white and red as like the highlights, but the white just looked off anyway. So I went in with the metallics instead of the white, and then went for the reds and the pinks on the cloak again. The pistol crossbow is just a standard bolt pistol with the crossbow part that comes in the box added to it. I just cut it off. Instead of using it on a regular bolt gun, I just used it on the bolt pistol, cut the sight off the bolt pistol, and then sort of fitted it in place. After that, I then added a bit of plastic to the end to make a silencer, and the blade I think was also from the Tempested Scions box. I just cut off the guard to make it look a bit more like a stiletto pointed knife. Overall, I thought I just made the squad look a bit more dynamic, having the cherubs here, as you can see, having that sort of like pink fading into red on the wings. I think it looks cool. But there you are, guys. That's the Sisters Militant, Hospitaller and Dialogus of the Orders of the Lilac Rose, inspired by my daughter. So I hope you enjoyed it. I do apologise this video was a bit late. I was sick and in no state to be making a video over this past week, but I'm all good now, and hopefully the next one will be out on Thursday, Friday, so stay tuned for that, as we'll be looking into another guard regiment perhaps, but this time maybe one that has fallen to the side of chaos. So look out for that. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Also follow me on Instagram if you want to at My Little Corner 40k, where I'm trying to upload daily images that I'm showing off here in these videos. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I love you. See you in the next one. Bye guys.